All right, ready to dive into something kind of creepy? This is the case of Israel Keys. You hear people call him a master planner, a manipulator. But what is it about this guy that makes this case stand out? What can we learn from it all? Let's get into it.
It's really his ability to blend in that gets me. Lived a normal life on the surface, but underneath,
Hmm.
horrific.
Yeah, like he was living in some kind of movie or something. We're talking kill kits, like pre-packed and everything, hidden all over, trying to seem normal while doing all this, leaving almost no trace. It's wild. And to break it all down, we're looking at this video. It's by Christina Randall, lays the whole thing out. So, how did he pull this off for so long?
$1 million question, right? Keeps folks like me up at night. To figure out Keys, got to go back to the beginning. Raised in Utah, big family, super religious, but like really isolated.
Isolation. See that a lot in these stories, don't we?
Right. But there's more.
Yeah.
See, even as a kid, red flags. And I'm not talking typical kid stuff, Keys was fixated on hurting things, animals specifically.
Not a good sign, obviously. But weren't they religious? Like, really religious? Doesn't that usually go against that sort of thing?
Exactly. And that's what makes it so strange. You've got this strict upbringing. Being alone all the time could have been a recipe for disaster. Maybe this was like his outlet. The only way he could control anything, let out those emotions that weren't allowed.
So messed up rebellion then. But get this. Keyes knew he was messed up, even as a kid. Admitted he reacted differently to violence, that it wasn't normal for him.
Now that's scary. He knew, right? Not delusional. He knew the monster was there and he kind of went with it. Imagine what that does to a person all those years hiding it under the surface.
That's the thing, isn't it? He was so normal on the outside. Army, relationship, even had a daughter. Ran his own business, successful too, they say. Good dad, good worker. How do you reconcile those two sides?
That's what we call compartmentalization. And this is a textbook case, except way more extreme. One side, he's got the family, the life. Other side, he's planning murders, burying those kill kits, like you said, all over. Two completely different realities all in his head.
And those kits, man, that's where things get really dark. Picture this. Buckets, 5 gallons each, full of stuff shovels, bullets, cash, stashed all over the U.S. He wasn't just into killing. It was like he wanted it to be clean, no trace, make people vanish.
It screams premeditation, not on a whim. He'd be working somewhere, then disappear for days, driving all over hundreds of miles, do what he did, then poof, back like nothing happened.
A ghost, basically, just drifting through people's lives and leaving all this pain behind. And he did it for over 10 years.
Crazy. It's
Yeah.
insane, right? Like trying to catch a shadow. But you can't hide forever. One of his earliest victims, it's believed, was Lorraine Currier with her husband, Bill. They were in Vermont, just a normal night at home, and Keys. He decided to do it then. It's just tragic. Shows you how cold he was, how little he cared. There was no reason he picked them. They were just there.
And the kill kits, that's where it gets even worse. After he murdered them, he used all that stuff he'd stashed to get rid of the bodies. It's chilling.
Total premeditation. Like I was saying, this wasn't some spur-of-the-moment thing. He didn't just want to kill. He wanted them gone, no evidence, nothing. Wrapped them up, used Drano to try and get rid of DNA, buried them in this abandoned place, never found.
Awful. And he didn't even make it quick, you know? Made them suffer, got off on it, tied them up, even made Lorraine watch her husband die before he killed her. Can you imagine?
Sadism, pure and simple. Had to be in control. Not just taking a life, but breaking them completely.
Makes you wonder, how do you even stop someone like that? What finally tripped him up?
This might surprise you, but traffic stop.
Seriously, traffic stop. This guy, after all that, all those years, gets caught because of something like that.
Yeah, 2012 it was. Samantha Koenig, she was 18. He took her from Anchorage, Alaska. Right away, this one was different. He broke his own rules. This time it was someone local, someone young, someone people would know was gone.
Why the change? After all this time being so careful.
Who knows? Maybe getting cocky. Maybe he needed that risk. But that's what got him caught.
Okay, but how does a traffic ticket lead to all that?
So he takes Samantha, right? Uses her debit card to get cash, but not all at once. Little bits here and there, driving like a madman between each ATM.
Smart and dumb at the same time, huh?
Exactly. And then gets pulled over, speeding, 3 miles over the limit, that's all it took. Cop thought he was acting weird, then sees Samantha's face on a missing person flyer.
So many little things had to go wrong, and one alert cop. That's how it ends for Keys.
Pretty much. And once they had him, they found even more of those kits. All over. He was going to keep going.
It's almost a relief, you know? Like, who knows how many more there would have been. But it's bittersweet, right? Those families, they'll never get real justice. He killed himself in prison, no trial, no answers.
Last act of control, you could say. Takes everything with him, leaves everyone else hurting, wondering. That's his legacy, I guess. Sadness and a whole lot of unanswered questions.
I guess even with him gone, it's not really over, is it? It's like he's still out there somehow, all those years, all those places.
Yeah.
Who knows what else he did?
Exactly. That's what haunts you, right? The cases that went cold, maybe were never even connected. Officially, he said 11 murders, but they think there were way more. Just gone.
Like trying to see through fog or something, you know what I mean? We've got these bits and pieces, the kits, what he said, all those awful details, but the whole picture, gone with him.
And that's the scary part, right? He blows apart this idea that you can really know someone, that evil wears a sign or something. This guy was good, blended right in. And inside, darkness most of us can't even imagine.
It makes you think, doesn't it? We want to believe people are mostly good, that you can spot danger if you're paying attention, but he was just not normal. Dad had his own business, the kind of guy you'd chat with at the store, no problem.
And that's the lesson. As hard as it is to swallow, monsters, they don't always lurk in the shadows. Could be your neighbor, someone at work, that parent pushing a swing set. It's not easy to think about, but knowing that, that's how we fight back.
So it's not just about being careful, but like really understanding what we're dealing with.
Right. The more we learn about how these minds work,
Yeah.
the better chance we have to stop it from happening again. He might have kept his secrets, but by studying what he did, how he did it, that's how we learn, right? Shine a light on it, so maybe someday there's fewer stories like his.
Being aware, trusting your gut, not ignoring those little things that feel off, even if it seems silly.
Exactly. That stuff matters. Could be the difference between going home safe and well.
Yeah.
You know.
So after all of this, where does that leave us? What do we do with all this with a guy like Keyes?
It's about learning, like we said, educating ourselves. Keyes might be gone, but the more we understand about why people like him do what they do, the better prepared we'll be to prevent future tragedies.
Being aware, being careful, and never, ever forgetting just how dark things can get. It's a lot to think about. And on that note, we'll leave you with that. The case of Israel Keyes, a chilling reminder that sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones hiding in plain sight.